Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa-Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Namaste and good evening. The Bhagavad Gita class. 13th chapter. We were on verse 7. So, there are these 20 practices which Sri Krishna, he gives us, and he calls them jnanam. Etad jnanam iti proktam. These are called knowledge. These are practices for enlightenment. In that sense, they are called knowledge. By this you get knowledge. By this you get enlightenment, by these practices. And therefore they are called knowledge. These 20, let us chant the verses. I'll chant, you can chant after me if you like. And then we'll go on with our discussion. This is from verse number 7, chapter 13, verse 7 to verse 11. Amānitvam adambhitvam, amānitvam adambhitvam, ahinsā kṣhāntir ārjavam, ahinsā kṣhāntir ārjavam, āchāryopāsanaṁ śhauchaṁ, āchāryopāsanaṁ śhauchaṁ, sthairyam ātma-vinigrahaḥ, sthairyam ātma-vinigrahaḥ, indriyārtheshu vairāgyam, indriyārtheshu vairāgyam, anahankāra evaca, anahankāra evaca, janma mrityu jara vyādhi, janma mrityu jara vyādhi, dukkha doshanudarshanam, dukkha doshanudarshanam, asaktir anabhishvanga, asaktir anabhishvanga, putradara grihadishu, putradara grihadishu, nityam cha samachittatvam, nityam cha samachittatvam, ishtanishtaupapattishu, anishtaupapattishu, mai chananya yogena, mai chananya yogena, bhaktirabhyabhicharini, bhaktirabhyabhicharini, viviktadesha sevitvam, viviktadesha sevitvam, aratirjana samsadi, aratirjana samsadi, adhyatma-jnana nityatvam, adhyatma-jnana nityatvam, tattva-jnanartha-darshanam, tattva-jnanartha-darshanam, etaj-jnanam iti proktam, etaj-jnanam iti proktam, ajnanam yadatonyatha, ajnanam yadatonyatha. Humility, unostentatiousness, harmlessness, forbearance, uprightness, service to the Guru, purity, steadiness, self-control, dispassion for sense objects and absence of egoism, seeing the misery and evil in birth, death, old age and sickness, non-attachment and non-identification with son, wife, home, etc., always being even-minded whether good or evil befalls, unswerving devotion to me through the yoga of non-separation, resorting to solitude and aversion for company, always being devoted to spiritual knowledge, perception of the aim of the knowledge of truth, all this is called knowledge. What is different from this is ignorance. So 20, and these are practices. When you read them, they seem like qualities, but Sri Krishna intended them to be practices, something that we have to take action on. These are necessary for attaining enlightenment. Remember, this is the chapter on the separation of the field and the field knower, kshetra kshetragya. He showed us in the initial verses Sri Krishna showed us that the field knower, our real nature is consciousness, is being, is awareness, existence awareness, limitless existence awareness. And what is the field? The whole universe is the field. But especially the body and the mind are the field. This body, the mind, thoughts, emotions, ideas, memories, our whole personality, that's the field, that's not us. This is the dramatic thing that was revealed to us in the first 2 verses of this chapter. What we thought we were, Krishna says, you are deeply mistaken. And that is that this mistake, this error, is at the root of all our problems. So this has to be corrected. You have to realize you are not the field, you're not the field, you're the field knower. You have to realize what you thought you were, what we thought we were so long, and on which basis we operated all our lives. That's part of the field. That's not really who you are. Now, this is a kind of an operation. I said, I was using an example of an operation where the knower of the field is separated from the field. And I gave the example of that monk who's, had diabetes and had an operation, and the doctor said, first of all, you have to get the diabetes under control. And then only the operation will be possible. Otherwise, if you operate with under high sugar, high diabetes, there will be serious health complications. Similarly, there is a period of preparation, a kind of mental, moral health, emotional and moral health, which is necessary for this operation to be performed. This operation of seeing ourselves as pure consciousness, not as bodies, not as minds. Unless we do that, if we try to just see that I am pure consciousness, I am the witness of the body, I am the witness of the mind, it won't work. Either we won't get it, what's being said, what are they talking about? Or we'll get it, but we'll be unable to put it into practice. Or worse, we think we get it and we are putting into practice while all the time fooling ourselves. It's only when life gives us big shocks we realize that no, I really haven't been able to see myself as pure consciousness. I still think of myself as a body, as a person who can easily get hurt and do wrong things in the world also. So this purification, this preparation, this getting the diabetes under control, these 20 practices, he talks about them. They prepare us for enlightenment. And we have been looking at them since the last class. We'll go forward. We'll take up each one. It starts off, not accidentally or deliberately, with humility. Humility is the beginning of all spirituality. Unless we are receptive, unless we... See, I was reading this, Sri Ramakrishna was very ill. Among those people who were attending to him, one of them said in his presence, for something, he said, I know. With great difficulty, Sri Ramakrishna raised his head and said, what did you say? Never said, I know. As long as I live, so long do I learn. In Bengali, Javod Bachi Tavod Sheki. Long before, we have now this slogan, adult continuing education, lifelong learning. Long before that, Sri Ramakrishna says, as long as I live, so long do I learn. Swami Vivekananda, Josephine MacLeod, she said, you all admire Vivekananda because you think he's a great guru, a great teacher. But I admire Vivekananda because he was the great student. He learned all the time. And that's why he was always fresh. Humility is the first thing. So amānitvam is translated as humility, yes. We are studying the Keno Upanishad in the Upanishad class. You will see towards the end of the Keno Upanishad, those who are attending, you will see it is Indra among the gods who attains enlightenment first among all the gods. Why? Because he was humble. He waited until the Divine Mother appeared and revealed the truth about Brahman. It's a story in itself in the Keno Upanishad. Humility, amānitvam. Now this has to be carefully understood, not misunderstood, because a kind of self-esteem, confidence in oneself is very much necessary in spiritual life. In everything in life. To do well in life, you have to have confidence in yourself. And that's a sort of philosophy of America, confidence in yourself, self-esteem. And Vivekananda loved it. He said here in New York, when he landed here, he saw at that time a lot of people were coming from Ireland. because of many troubles there. The famine and plus many troubles. So lots of people, and they were poor and they were struggling and they were coming here. Vivekananda noticed Ellis Island, getting off there and coming here, the ships. By the way, someone recently showed me, they did a bit of research and looked up old records in Ellis Island, and they showed the second time Vivekananda came to the United States, came by ship this way, Atlantic. First time he had come through Pacific to Vancouver. This time he came to the Atlantic and landed in Ellis Island. And the old records show Mr. Swami Vivekananda. Yeah. Yes. Vivekananda says, I saw these Irishmen landing there, Patrick, landing there, head bowed down, defeated, broken. And he comes to America and he walks around, and 2 days later you see the same man standing up straight, his head held high. I am a man as much as everybody else is. This is confidence. And very much necessary for anything in spiritual life. Anything in life. Education for, and just by the way, an aside, there was a psychological study of determinants for success in education in America, psychologists. And they came up with a term, self-efficacy. Self-efficacy. It's a new term. Self-efficacy is the feeling in the child that I can face most challenges in life. I have faced these things in the past, and so I can face the next challenge in life. If the child has that self-efficacy, the child is more likely to success, because the child will meet challenges, academic and sports and whatever it is, difficulties in life, and keep trying. Give it a fair try at least. Otherwise they give up. If they are fragile, they give up. The self-efficacy is that confidence. Let me try. Let me see. I think I can do it. That inner feeling, I can do it. I can cope. I have coped with so many things in my life, and it's something that we all need. Swami Vivekananda said very powerfully, the old religion said, he who does not believe in God is an atheist. The new religion says, he who does not believe in himself, he or she does not believe in himself or herself, is an atheist. What's the link between belief in yourself and belief in God? I found that in Mahatma Gandhi, in one of his letters, he says, it's only those who believe in themselves who can truly believe in God. If I don't have confidence in myself, in crisis, I really won't have faith in God. It'll be shaken. So, when we say humility, remember, this is not a kind of submissiveness, self-abasement, looking on oneself as a doormat, to be kicked around by others or by life, and feeling sorry for oneself and then passing it off as humility. Gita Krishna told me, so I'm being humble. No. Vivekananda said, Vivekananda's definition of humility. Humility does not consist in being a doormat. Humility is seeing the greatness in the other person. This lady, she writes, who knew Vivekananda, and she was moved in high social circles. And she writes that, I have met many great people in my life. I met either the Tsar of Russia, or somebody said, I'm wrong about that. Somebody wrote to me saying that she actually met the Kaiser of Germany, whatever it is, one of the big, powerful men who ruled Europe at that time. So when I met the Kaiser, suppose it's the Kaiser, I felt how great this man is and how insignificant I am. But when I met Vivekananda, I felt how great this man is and how great I am. This was the power of Vivekananda, to evoke a sense of your own greatness, of your own potential, of what he called the divinity within all human beings. He would do that. That's a great, great gift. Sri Ramakrishna himself, he defined a human being. This is a play of words in Bengali. Manush. Man-hush. Hush means awareness. Being aware. Aware of what? Man. Of your dignity. Being aware of your own dignity. That's a human being. And of course, there's a spiritual depth to it. Being aware of your dignity, because it's rooted in divinity. It's rooted in God. To know your own godliness. So he says that's a human being. At least your dignity as a human being. To be aware of that. Not to compromise that. So, humility, but in this sense only. One must have confidence in oneself. Then why amānitvam? What is the philosophical significance? Humility, everybody says, yes, be humble, don't be arrogant, be humble. But what's its connection with field and field knower? What's its connection with Advaita Vedanta? I mentioned last time, I'll move over quickly today. Mana means that which is measured, that which is parichinna, which is limited. Anything that can, the Sanskrit word mana means measurement. Anything that can be scaled, measured, scale means smaller and larger, is by definition limited. In Sanskrit, parichinna. It's a limited quantity, a limited space, or whatever it is, a limited thing. It's not the infinite, it's not Brahman. And the moment I am identifying myself with my body, with my educational qualifications, with my achievements at work, my career, or my whatever, it could be the powerful people that I know, the glory of my parents or forefathers. It could be anything associated with race or religion. Anything that I derive pride from, limited things. Because of this, I am greater than you. What's the difference between pride and arrogance? So someone shared with me very nicely that when I say, I can do this, that is pride, that is confidence. But when I say, only I can do it, that is arrogance. That's a good way of putting it. So there's a difference, there's a clear difference. It may be a little subtle sometimes, there is a clear difference. We ourselves know it. When pride turns into arrogance. Confidence turns into pride and arrogance. So, amānitvam means not in a philosophical sense. In a literal sense, amānitvam, if you translate, it will become humility, which we have seen. But in a philosophical sense, amānitvam means not identifying with the limited. The moment I say, I am greater than you, because maybe I have a PhD or some big degree from an Ivy League college, or I have the best paying job, or the best car, or the most friends on Facebook, or something like that. I am better than you. Then I have identified myself with something limited. The moment I identify with something with limited and draw my greatness from that, I have sacrificed, I have denied, I have negated my unlimited nature. See, it goes so deep. The very instinct that something, somebody, some activity, some place, some object, some food, some person holds in ransom my happiness. My happiness depends on them, on those things, on those places. If the moment I do that, and I'm just translating from Hindi what I heard from sadhus. You have negated, he says, apna anand swarup ka tiraskar kar diya, lop kar diya. The moment you say that my happiness depends on something in this world, somebody, including this body, including this mind also. It depends on the field. The happiness of the field knower depends on the field. The fulfillment of the field knower depends on the field. You have negated your Ananda Swarupa, that you are limitless bliss. That's your real nature. You are Brahman, you are Atman. You are negating that. Of course, we don't know it. But by that very intent, by that very act of depending on the world, you have blocked off, negated, denied that you are Brahman. It goes so deep. Then next comes adambhitvam. Dambha, it is generally translated as arrogance. So pride, this is the next step up. Or as kids today would say, the next level up. You've completed the level of pride, now the next higher level is arrogance. So what happens is, the difference between them is this. Mānitvam, pride, is when I identified with limited things like, for example, my wealth or my status or my educational qualifications or whatever it is. It could be race, it could be youth, it could be beauty, it could be strength, whatever it is. If I identify with that and draw and feel glorified by that, that's pride. But those are at least real. I mean, they are there. Now, if I take it one step further, what is not there I deceive myself and try to deceive others and feel glorified by that. By a show, by deceit. Showing off. Showing off something that's not a fact. Maybe something is there, but I exaggerate. I exaggerate my knowledge. I exaggerate my connections. I exaggerate my importance. I exaggerate my achievements. And derive glory from that exaggeration. That is called dambha. Dambha. Worse than amānitvam, worse than pride. So in this arrogance, there's an element of deceit. There's an element of showing what is not. It's not a fact. At least even pride is wrong, but in pride at least there is, you are looking at something which is a fact in your life and then feeling proud about it. Problem with pride is you're trying to use that to set yourself apart from others. That's the confidence. Because of those things you have confidence, that's great. But because of those things, I am superior to you, then it becomes a problem. But this is worse. What is not there, I'm proud of it. I fooled myself, and even if I don't fool myself, more important in this day of social media and all that, is to fool others. To project my life as this wonderful thing. And then take pride in it. And show off. All the time. Picture, post, upload. It's almost like a disease here, but it's far worse in India. I saw so many people rushing forward. Swami, I want to just a minute with you. Then I realized they don't have a Vedantic question. Many of them want a selfie. And they want to post it on social media. It's not that they have a philosophical question which they're eager for an answer. Now, so this is what social media does to us. Building a cloud around ourselves, a virtual halo around ourselves and feeling glorified thereby. But that which can give you happiness like that can also make you terribly unhappy. The people who have committed suicide because they didn't get enough likes for their latest picture or something like that, So, that is dambha. Now let's take a philosophical deep dive into it. What's its connection with Vedanta? Deep connection. One of the meanings of dambha in Sanskrit is maya, is illusion, is appearance. Identifying with illusion, identifying with appearance. That's the whole source of the problem in Advaita Vedanta. Brahman appears as this world through names and forms. And it's an appearance. It's not real in that sense. It's not ultimately real. And I take that to be reality. There's a technical word here called vivarta, which something appearing as something else. A rope appearing as a snake by mistake. Not knowing the rope as a rope, it's mistaken for a snake. And when all my glory is in the appearance, it becomes dambha. An inflated opinion about myself, or even if I don't have an inflated opinion about myself, somewhere I may not be able to fool myself because I know what I am. I may ignore it, but at the depths of my heart, we all have a certain awareness. But we can delude ourselves. But the whole effort is to fool others into a sense of how great I am. That also doesn't work most of the time. We think it does. But so it's psychologists have said, psychoanalysts have said, we expend enormous amounts of psychic energy on maintaining a facade, of trying to keep up this appearance to the external world of what I want them to see me as. We are also fooling ourselves. We are expending energy unnecessarily. Either people are not interested or most people see through it. Only a few people for a while might be a little bit fooled by it. But otherwise... Yes. So, adambhitvam. Adambhitvam means... So, here the translation is not arrogance, but it is a lack of arrogance. It is unostentatiousness. Correct. This is a nice word for it. Ostentatious means show. Show. Display of wealth, a display of power, a display of status. Nowadays it's virtual status in the social media world. Display of learning, or even when learning is not there. Whatever it is, display. then, as you can see, it's exactly the opposite of enlightenment. Ignorance, this is a veil of Maya, of display, like a magical illusion, like a magical display. And enlightenment is piercing through that veil. Ahimsa. Ahimsa. When someone was telling me just now that Gyanadev, a great saint of India and Maharashtra especially, in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, writes page after page on this ahimsa, verse after verse, on this word, explaining this word. Ahimsa means non-violence. Non-violence. I have mentioned this on other occasions. It's an analysis I found in Ramsukh Das Ji's Gita. So there he says, he speaks about 81 types of violence, but non-violence is only one. It's very interesting. How many types of dishonesty are there? Hundreds. How many types of honesty? One. How many types of anxiety and unhappiness are there? Hundreds, if not thousands. How many kinds of peace are there? One. What do you mean by one? It feels like one. When you are at peace, it just feels the same. Honesty. Somebody said there are 100 ways of falling down. There's only one way of standing up straight. 100 ways of being dishonest, or 1,000 ways, but only one way of being straight and upright. Similarly, violence can be of many kinds. So this particular analysis is interesting. Causes of violence. So it could be kama, krodha, lobha, moha, kama, lobha, moha. Violence often comes from desire. When desire is thwarted. In the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Krishna says, when my desires are obstructed, it immediately changes into anger. And from anger to violence. Kamat krodho vijayate. From desire comes anger. That does not seem correct. Why should anger come? When the desire is obstructed. So whenever I have anger, a flash of anger, some desire has been obstructed, in general. So it's wise not to get angry. Swami Vivekananda said, it's only a fool who does not get angry. It's only a fool who does not feel anger. It's only a fool who cannot get angry. The wise do not get angry. So, one cause of violence is desire. I want, and what I want is being obstructed and can lead to violence. Another cause is greed. Greed. Great deal of violence in the world historically, at our personal level, at a national, international level, has come from greed. Wanting a lot. And then that translates into, not that the person is angry with you. See, in the case of desire being obstructed, it's anger and lashes out at you. But the greed is not that the person is angry, not at all. You happen to have something this person wants, or this country wants, or this organization wants. That's all. They just want to take it away from you, and they might use violence. So ahimsa comes from lobha, greed. Moha, delusion. Violence can come from delusion. For example, ideological delusion. Democrat, Republican, Congress, BJP, Hindu, Muslim, delusion. Delusion. I subscribe to a particular ideology and say, then that justifies my violence against other people because of ideology. It's a delusion. Moha. It's a delusion. Born of a delusion. Subscription to a particular ideology, for example. It need not be so deep politically or religiously. It could be just be my sports team versus the other sports team. You see the football violence in Europe. For what? It's my sports team versus your sports team. It just could be a tribal identity. It's a delusion. Moha. So these are three causes of violence. Desire turning into anger. Greed, quite unangry, not at all angry, but violent. And ideological. fully justified because of what I believe, the party I belong to, the religion I belong to, or whatever it is, and justifies me being violent. Then, how are you violent? This is mana vak kaya. Thoughts, just violent thoughts. Speech, hate speech, and physically. Now you might say, are you advocating thought control? Very much so. Remember, this is not a question of civil rights or anything. It's a spiritual seeker. And all our spirituality, our prayer, meditation, knowledge, all will be done in this mind. If the mind is full of agitation and violence, you can't have spirituality there. So violence has to be removed not only physically, but not only at the level of speech, but at the level of mind itself. There must be no violence in the mind. Then degree of violence. Mridu madhyama ati. Mild violence. Whatever you define mild as. Madhyama is middling. And ati is a case of extravagant, extreme violence. Like war, terrorism, actual murder and things like that. So three kinds of, according to degree. And according to the agency. Agency means kritakarita anumodita. I do violence myself. Karita, I make others do violence on my behalf. Or I don't do any of that, but I allow it to happen. I approve of it. I support it. I enable it. That's also violence. Now remember, all of this is for the spiritual seeker. Always one must be careful that in the world outside, in the world, depending on your duty, you might have to exercise violence. If you're a police officer, you can be a spiritual seeker, but then that is tempered by your particular duty. You're a soldier or a police officer. You might have to exercise violence, but then notice how much of it is coming from within and how much of it is my duty. It's entirely possible for one to be quite violent at the level of the body without the slightest internal intent to be violent. Just ask any professional boxer or martial artist or many professionals, say law people who are enforcing law enforcement. They can often use violence. They have been highly trained so that when they use violence, they don't feel angry. They don't feel angry. I was going to say hungry. The reason I was going to say hungry was long ago I saw this interview on television with a martial artist. And this part still sticks to my mind. He says, unless I've been punched 20 times in the morning, I don't feel hungry for breakfast, By the morning workout. He has no anger in him. That violence does not create anger. So, now put them together. The causes of violence. Desire transformed into anger. Then greed. And then delusion. Kama, Lobha, Moha. 1, 2, 3. And then, through what do you do violence? Through mind, through speech, through body. Mana, Vak, Kaya. 3 plus 3, 6. Then how many types of violence there will be? 3 into 3, 9 types. Then you have the degree of violence. Mild, middling, extreme. So into 3 again. And then you have the agency. Do you do it yourself? Or did you ask somebody else to do it on your behalf? Or did you enable it or allow it to happen? So you have 81 types. 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. 81 types of violence. Now, actually, if you think about it, you can again recast it in a different way. You can give other factors. But the point being, there are many, many ways of being violent. There's only one way of being non-violent. Ahimsa. Internally non-violent. The next word he says, kṣhāntir. So I'm not going into the depths of this because ahimsa you can give, you can discuss this endlessly. This was a central practice for Mahatma Gandhi. And he practiced it in politics. A very difficult field to practice non-violence. War, politics, how do you do that? There is a religion not so well known in the United States but well known in India called Jainism. In Jainism, the central practice is non-violence. Central practice. The Jains are very big on karma. In fact, all Indian religions accept karma. Jains more than the others. So all the problems are due to bad karma, and all the practice of spiritual practices are meant to exhaust the bad karma, stop the influx of more bad karma, and generate good karma. And the central kind of bad karma is killing, is destroying life. So they're very careful, not just destroying life, any kind of violence. So ahimsa, non-violence, is central. Sam Harris, in one talk, he said that religious fundamentalism by itself is not bad. It depends on what your fundamentals are. And then he said there is a religion in India called Jainism. The fundamentals are non-violence. The more fundamentalist a Jain is, the less you have to fear from that person. The more nice and peaceful he will become, the more fundamentalist he is, he or she is. So everybody in India knows that. That's the reason that they never went into farming, for example. The reason being that to farm you have to plow the field and kill the worms in the field. They went into business, and that's why they became some of the richest people in India, the extremely wealthy community. So non-violence. And by the way, in Jainism, non-violence extends to philosophy also. So all the philosophies there are like intellectual gladiators. They're all out to prove their own superiority. The non-violence in Jainism, they have a system of logic called saptabhanginaya, sevenfold logic. So for example, is there a self or is there no self? The Hindu schools say that there is a self, atma asti. The Buddhists say that there is no self, it's empty, atma nasti. What's the Jain view? From some perspective there is a self, in some perspective there is no self. Both are correct, depending on the perspective. Yes, in some way, no, in some way. And they have given 7 alternatives this way. Sevenfold logic, long before multi-valued logics were developed in the West, in the world today. Extremely sophisticated. Nearly 2000 years ago they developed it. 7-valued logic. Okay, that's the philosophical non-violence. Now, next word is kṣhāntir, next practice, kṣhāntir. These are 2 words in Sanskrit, shanti and kṣhāntir. Shanti means peace. Kṣhāntir means forgiveness. You can write one with shanti, shanti. The other one you can write as kshanti, kṣhāntir. So forgiveness. Here Krishna says a practice of forgiveness. Peace is attained through devotion to God, for example. If you are devoted and you surrender to an ultimate power, you will get peace in your heart. If we practice selflessness, we'll get peace. A great deal of our unhappiness is because of selfishness, our concern with I, me, myself. Or through meditation, one can get peace, stilling the mind. We think that I don't have peace because of this, because of this person, that person's behavior, this noise, that pollution, all these problems in the world, that's why I don't have peace. No. Your problems are because you have no peace. It's not that you don't have peace because of your problems. It's the other way around. You have problems because you have no peace. That's the yogic principle. So first have peace within. Then you tackle the problems. It will be much, much easier. Many of the problems will disappear, they will be dissolved. If not solved, they will be dissolved. And you will be able to tackle the remaining ones much better. The mind still. That's another way to get shanti. And of course, there's an Advaitic way to get shanti, that you realize you are shanti, you are Atman itself. Now from there comes kṣhāntir, forgiveness, an active forgiveness. What is kṣhāntir? When people, it's not just forbearing with troubles peacefully and be trying to keep your mind quiet. No, when people have done us harm, actively forgive. Why? What is the connection with Vedanta? I'm reminded of this, always remember when Shanti comes, this topic, this little bird I had seen, a very colorful little bird. in India in front of our newly constructed university building near Belur Math. And that building has big glass windows. And this little bird was seeing its own reflection in the window and fighting. It was so worked up, agitated, it would run and hammer itself against that other little bird in the window, which was, of course, its own reflection. All that energy and fury and not necessary at all. First of all, that is nothing but you. And it doesn't exist as other than you. It just seems to. It seems to be a very annoying little bird, but that's just you. If you calm down, that will also calm down. Therefore, immediately forgive. Vedanta is a teaching of oneness. That other person is you. No matter how infuriating, no matter how much that person seems to be an enemy, no one is your enemy. They're all yours and they are you. And therefore forgiveness should be automatic. From deep peace comes immediate forgiveness. But from immediate forgiveness, peace comes. From forgiveness, peace comes immediately. From forgiveness, peace comes immediately. There's a saying that the Lord, in Bengali it's there, the Lord forgives everything. It's kind of God's job to forgive us. Except they don't forgive, the Lord does not forgive those without forgiveness. If we do not forgive, that's the Christian prayer. Just as we forgive others their trespasses, O Lord, forgive mine. So, in terms of karma, you're transcending karma. You're asking God, don't charge me, don't put it on my account. I don't have funds to pay for my karmic debt. You forgive my karmic debt. But then the small condition there, rider there is, you must forgive others also. Kṣhāntir. Be a forgiving person, you'll be forgiven. Not be a forgiving person, you'll be held to account. Who cares? I'll be held to account. Account for what? No. For those who are even a little sensitive, it's a terrifying thought of being held to account. I mentioned that poet who says, what will you do on that? You can fool others, you can even fool yourself. But what will you do on that day, doomsday, judgment, day of judgment, when you are face to face with the one, capital O one, who knows how to ask questions? So forgive. Kṣhāntir. One more point here. See, faced with a challenging situation, to say, I forgive. I don't want to do anything. I am kind and gentle. I don't want... Where you're supposed to do something about it. Stand up for yourself or for others. That forgiveness, so-called forgiveness, quote unquote, that is cowardice. It comes from tamas, tamasic mind. Tamasic mind is cowardly. It wants to avoid conflict and wants to avoid challenges. So it'll dress up the negligence of duty as forgiveness or as kindness or gentleness. I'm letting go. Then the Rajasic mind responds to challenges or problems with violence. The Rajasic mind hits back, the mind full of dynamism and energy. It could be different kinds of violence. It could be just verbal, it could be physical, whatever it is. It hits back. That's a Rajasic mind. The Rajasic mind mixed with Sattva, Sattvic Rajasic mind, will have controlled violence, which is what you would expect from, say, a law enforcer or a soldier or somebody like that, responsible use of violence. An analyst said that a sign of a developed society is the state monopoly of violence. That sounds odd, but it's a fact. Only those you have authorized as citizens, only those you have authorized to use violence, they should be able to use violence. Nobody else should be able to use violence. So the state monopoly of violence is the sign of a law-abiding society. It sounds awful that somebody could have a monopoly of violence, but it just means that there must not be anarchy. People must not be free to exercise violence against each other, punch each other. So that's a rajasic mind controlled with sattva. Sattvic rajasic mind. That's what you expect from a mature person, stable person, a genuinely strong person. Vivekananda was asked about non-violence. What should the weak do when oppressed by the strong? Vivekananda said, why? Give a good punch, of course. It's only the strong who can be non-violent, not weak. And then finally, sattvic mind. This is where the point of kṣhāntir comes. The sattvic mind will have kṣhāntir, forgiveness. No violence, forgiveness. Mahatma Gandhi said, eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. No matter how justified, draw a line below violence. That means cut it off. At this point, stop. But only the strong can do that. Kṣhāntir. See, when the vritti, mental vritti, catches hold of objects, it becomes lobha, greed. When it catches hold of physical pleasure, it becomes kama, the mental vritti, what the mind thinks about, dwells upon and wants. When it catches hold of anger, it becomes krodha, it becomes himsa, violence. And so to overcome these, the spiritual practitioner should practice santosha brahmacharya kṣhāntir. These are positive practices. Contentment. What I have in the world is enough, because I am embarking on a huge project, a huge adventure, spiritual adventure. Therefore, as far as the world is concerned, I have enough. Shouldn't I first make $1 million and then? You might, but the thing is, it takes time and energy and it's fleeting. Time is passing. If you have a genuine spiritual quest, then don't waste any more time. Start with that. Simple life is always good. The only thing that $1 million or even $1 billion will give you at the end is to show that it can't give you much. That's the only wisdom you'll gain from it. But a lot of time will have gone by that. It's those who don't have it and want it, they're quite sure that I'll be really happy if I want it. You don't know, Swami. If I get it, well, then you need to be told by a millionaire or a billionaire that it didn't work for me and it's not going to work for you. That's the problem. There's so much desire for money and success and power, and we would love to combine it. We also want spirituality, and if there's some way of combining both, that's the best. I remember I went to this person who was genuinely spiritual. I gave a 3-hour talk on Vedanta, and then it was followed over lunch or a 3-hour talk on philosophy, Indian philosophy. This gentleman, very interesting young man. He is the head of a company which is a market leader in Asia in that field, and multimillionaire, but a genuinely spiritual person. Now he has a group of people who follow him, and one of them told me something interesting which has stuck with me till now. This follower, this person who goes to this multimillionaire who's also a spiritual teacher and a philosopher in his own right. I'm not taking names. He's very popular in India. So one of his followers, admirers, told me, I really admire him and I want to be like him. I said, that's great. He's a wonderful guy. And I felt he's a genuine spiritual seeker. He said, yes, first I want to become a multimillionaire and then enlightened. So santosha, contentment. Second, to overcome the problem of lust, passion, brahmacharya, the vritti of control of those passions, that I shall not indulge. And then to overcome anger, hatred in the mind is kṣhāntir, forgiveness, immediate forgiveness. Even if you have been wounded. See, peace is easier than forgiveness. You can try to maintain a calm state of mind while holding on to grudges. But it's much better to forgive, then your peace will be unimpeded. It will become more natural. Then ārjavam. Ārjavam, it comes from the Sanskrit root riju, straightforward, simplicity. Straightforward. Riju means straight. I don't know how they have translated this. Uprightness. All right, uprightness. Straightforward. Sri Ramakrishna said, in one's last life, one becomes simple. Simplicity should not be confused with stupidity. Oh no. I have seen in many cases some of the most brilliant people, scholars, scientists, very intelligent, brilliant in their field, but also very simple. And I've seen the opposite. Quite stupid, but also very complicated. Sly, cunning, and stupid. Harming themselves and harming others. So, simplicity is a great, great quality. Swami Vivekananda said, we must endeavor to combine childlike simplicity with utmost seriousness. Childlike simplicity with utmost seriousness. Generally, we do the opposite. We are very complicated and superficial. We combine a complicated mindset with superficiality. Whereas a spiritual person should have childlike simplicity with utmost seriousness. Your purpose in life, your goal in life, your endeavor in life, the way you live your life is a very serious life. And at the same time, in your dealings and in your behavior with others, you have a pure and simple, childlike simplicity. Generally, people have the opposite. What are they concerned about? Very superficial things in life. And how do they behave and think? Very complicated. So not complicated and superficial, rather opposite. Simple, childlike simplicity and utmost seriousness, not superficiality. Lead a life of seriousness. Human birth is the most valuable birth. You're studying Kena Upanishad, the Rishi will warn at the end. Iha ched avedit atha satyamasti no ched yaha vedit mahati vinashti. In this very life, if you attain enlightenment, God realization, Brahma Jnana, if you attain it, then your life is fulfilled. There is truth. For the first time, there is substance to you. And if you do not attain it in this life, in this human life, mahati vinashti, great is the loss. Great is the loss. You lost the most important thing that you could have attained in human life. You let it go. Who knows when we will get it again, the chance again. So, utmost seriousness. Say to yourself, the goal of my life is spiritual goal, is enlightenment, as was the goal of the Buddha, of Vivekananda and others, all great masters throughout the world history in all civilizations. In all civilizations, spirituality is regarded as the highest thing. That is my goal. That's what I am about. No matter what I do in life, as karma has put me, somebody holds a job, somebody is a housewife, somebody is a teacher, somebody is a student, somebody is sick and bedridden. Doesn't matter. What is my goal? What am I all about? Where is my heart? Where is my heart? Is my heart in the earth or in heaven? I mean, using biblical language. Is it with mammon or is it with God? Biblical language. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. All right. Ārjavam, straightforwardness. I am reminded of the story, I've told this earlier also. Saint Thomas Aquinas, who is the greatest theologian probably in the Christian Catholic Church. When he was a young monk in training, this is something 800 years ago. When he was a young monk in training, he was slow. His friends, other trainee monks used to call him the ox because he was so slow and seemed dull compared to them. We only know his name. We don't know their names today. So he wrote the books, the Summa Theologica. Now, one story goes about the young Thomas Aquinas. So his friends were making fun of him, the other monks. And one day in class, they ran to the window and they shouted, see, the cow is flying. The cow is flying. And Thomas Aquinas rushed to the window to see the flying cow. And all his friends, the other monks, they burst out in laughter. What a fool you are. How stupid can you be? You really believe that a cow can fly, that cows can fly? And St. Thomas, seriously, as usual, seriously turned around blinking at them and said, I would rather believe that cows can fly than monks could lie. I'm sure he was the most popular boy in his class. Must have stunned them into. Yeah. I remember one of the monks in our president of our order at that time. This is nearly 25 years ago. More than that. Swami Bhuteshananda ji. He was 97, 98 years old at that time. And we had gathered around. We would ask questions. We means not me. I was very junior. But the senior monks would ask questions. One monk said, Swami, sometimes we may have to tell a lie. I mean, a lie would be a minor thing. But tell something that's not absolutely true. Tell a lie. He was immediately stopped by the Swami, who would speak with a slow drawl. He said, why do you say we? Say I tell lies. You see how we disguise it. Something that's bothering me, maybe I've said something that's not quite accurate, and say, sometimes we have to tell lies, not we. Be honest, say I tell lies. And I still remember, I don't know how bad that Swami felt. We all felt bad for him in front of all his brother monks. He went red in the face, he bowed down and he quietly walked out. Everybody else, we felt extremely uneasy. Why do you say we? Say I lie. Simplicity, direct. This is called directness, rijuta. There are many, many examples, but in all the cases, I've seen Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada, Vivekananda, and all of this, they were very simple in that way, very simple and very direct and very open and very, very clear and clean in their dealings with themselves and with everybody else around. āchāryopāsanaṁ, śhauchaṁ, sthairyam, ātma-vinigrahaḥ. We have really run out of time. I've done just half a verse today. All right, I won't rush this. I'll just do one more word and then one more practice and stop. āchāryopāsanaṁ, which literally means service to the teacher, but literally, if you translate literally, upasana. So the importance of a teacher in Vedanta. Vedanta is a knowledge system, it's a spiritual knowledge system. It is based on texts, it's based on teaching, and it's based on a teacher-student lineage. Therefore, the teacher is very important. What does one do to become spiritual in Vedanta? One becomes a student. One learns from the teacher who's called Acharya. Even the word Acharya is interesting. The teacher who practices it in his or her own life. Acharati, Swayam Acharati, who demonstrates by own life. Not just teaching from a text. That, of course, one does. Now, there's a deep philosophical meaning of this. The Sanskrit word you have to take up, upasana. Upasana means worship. So yes, worship of the teacher. But literally, what does it mean? Upasana means to sit near. Asana means to sit. Upa means near. Upasana, to sit near. What does sitting near mean? Even the word Upanishad comes from there. Upa means samipe, close by, sitting near. Sitting near what? Here the deeper meaning is this, of this practice. It's not just, cleaning the ashram and being obedient to the guru and, getting firewood in the like in the old ashrams. That's the physical side of it. Or donating money for the ashram. That's the physical or financial side of it. But upasana literally means sitting near. Sitting near means not only just proximity, sit near and listen to the guru. Maybe the guru is hard of hearing, so you can yell questions into his ear when you sit near. No. Sitting near the guru means sitting near the knowledge. Where is the guru sitting? The guru is sitting in the Atman, in the self, in pure consciousness, in awareness. What is the guru's paradigm, the teacher's paradigm about himself and everybody else? Can I sit near that? I regard myself as the body, as the field. I am told that I am not this body, not this mind. I am something much greater, transcending body-mind, limitless awareness, the witness consciousness, the knower of the field. And the guru actually is that, already sitting in that. Let me sit there. It's like downloading the Guru's knowledge. How does the Guru, the teacher, understand this text? Let me bring that understanding into my mind. So sitting in the knowledge of the Guru, sitting near the knowledge of the Guru, sitting near the paradigm of the Guru, which how does the Guru regard himself and others? That way, can I shift my paradigm? That means then I'm sitting near, not just physically proximity to the Guru. Mother, Ma Sharada, used to initiate so many people, gave mantra. Somebody said, Mother, you initiate so many of them don't even come back. Others come back to, we all come regularly and visit you. Some don't even come back. And she said, they're among the best, those who don't come back. They take the mantra and then they practice it. They repeat it, meditate and realize God. They do what has to be done. So that is sitting near the teacher. āchāryopāsanaṁ. Upanishad say, āchāryavan Veda. Who will be enlightened? The one who has a teacher will be enlightened. Later in Hinduism, it became one who has a guru will be enlightened. The importance of the guru. All right. Let me do the peace chant and then we can take up one or two questions while they come with the basket. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Before you ask your questions, and before I forget, here's an announcement. Unfortunate announcement, but I have to make the announcement. So this is the last class for 2 months. Yeah, we just came out of a 2.5 month break, but now again 2 months, because it's, I'll be in and out of here. Last class means the Tuesday and Friday classes will have to be suspended. Because I'll be in and out of here. I'm going to Dallas and then Dublin and Edinburgh and this place and that place. And the thing is that there will be Fridays when I'll be here, but it'll become too confusing and complicated. You know, one class, then two classes are suspended, then there's another class, and then 3 more are suspended. It's not worth it. It's just too complicated. So the next class is on 20th December. Next Gita class. 2 months exactly. 20th December. The Tuesday class also 2 months. Suspended for 2 months. From the coming week. From this week, yes. So there will be no Tuesday class, no Friday class. But the Sunday classes will be on as usual. Arati, all other functions will be on. All speakers will be coming. On some Sundays, I'll be here. And we have a whole range of wonderful speakers and teachers coming. Professor Stanishwar Timalsena is going to come and speak about the Divine Mother. He is a great scholar and practitioner of Tantra. He's coming from Stony Brook University. Then we have none other than Massimo, who is a world authority on Stoicism. Is going to introduce us to Stoicism. That's coming later in November. And in between, I'll be here also. I'll be giving talks. All right, questions? Raise your hand if you have a question. Or yes.
Just a comment.
Yes. That's all right. Need a microphone. Yeah.
In the Manas Puja for Sri Ramakrishna also some of the qualities are mentioned. And ahinsā.
Yes.
Paramapushpa.
Yes. Yes. In the devotional worship, in the puja which we do in Hinduism, there is something called Manasa Puja. So where you visualize the deity in your heart and you worship the deity. What you would do physically with water and flowers and fruits and incense, that you visualize and do. But there the flowers are visualized as these qualities. Like ahinsā and other things, kṣhāntir. These are all flowers which you are offering. That means generating these energies in the mind. Yes.
Swamiji, why is the word Shanti used instead of Kshama? Forgiveness?
They mean the same thing. Kṣhāntir. Kshama is literally forgiveness. Kṣhāntir can also stand for, as it is translated here actually. It's not translated as forgiveness. It's forbearance. Sahan Shakti. Not to hit out with anger. I have seen there are people who are gentle in the dealings, but they generate a lot of resentment and anger within. It comes out later. So that's subtle, but it can be very harmful. So I didn't say anything to you, but later on I grumble about it and I wish I had said. Or I felt I have controlled my anger against you, but then comes out again as anger against somebody else. So don't let that happen. Be genuinely, deeply peaceful. It's all right. Just as one would be peaceful with, grandparents with their little naughty grandchildren. Have that attitude towards everybody else in the world, even towards your own boss. He's my naughty grandchild. That's all. Yes.
So, in chapter 12, here, 16, there are lists and lists.
Yes.
One for divinity, one for divine quality, one for devotion.
Do you want to get the microphone? Yes. You get it here. I think there are good questions coming.
So, Swamiji, in 3 different chapters, there are lists of qualities. Chapter 12 on devotion, 16 on divine qualities, here
Yes.
on field. How are they different, or are they all pointing to the same thing?
They're all pointing to the same thing. If you go all the way back to the 12th, to the second chapter, Sthita pragyasya ka bhasha.
Correct.
What are the characteristics of the enlightened one? So these are practices for knowledge. Sometimes they are skewed towards knowledge, sometimes they are skewed towards devotion. Bhakta, what are the characteristics of a bhakta? What are the characteristics of a gunatita? What are the divine characteristics? That is, daivi sampad. A variety are given. Some are for the initial practitioners. Some are for the advanced ones, like the Sthita Pragya Lakshana, for the characteristics of the enlightened one. But they are all uniformly meant for one thing only, controlling the diabetes. So the enlightenment takes place without any complications. You realize your pure consciousness and you manifest it in your life. If we don't do that, it will lead to all sorts of strange situations where, yes, I realize I am pure consciousness, but I still have a whole list of complaints and grudges. Or others, I feel I am fine, but others have a whole list of complaints and grudges against me. Raise your hand, they'll get the microphone. And then there's one at the back after this. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Akshay Jaroda, and thank you for a wonderful talk. My question is, you were explaining the meaning of upasana, which means sitting closer to the guru, also in a physical, but also in a spiritual
knowledge,
sense.
the spiritual sense, yes.
I I don't have a guru, but is there any simple practice that you can suggest to approach that guru tattva within myself that I can practice? Or
until we have a guru, and in our tradition, guru means the guru from the master from whom we get mantra diksha, spiritual initiation into a meditation and a mantra practice. So that person becomes our guru. But then notice the word used here is acharya. I'm using the word guru, but here the word used is acharya. And Upanishad also uses the word acharya, āchāryavān Veda. So the one who has a teacher will become enlightened. What does the teacher do? This teaching is passed on correctly, authentically, consistently, and inspiringly and skillfully to the next generation of students. That's what the guru does. So nowadays you can come to class, nowadays there are virtual mediums where you can study a text. Make sure that person belongs to a particular tradition, a genuine representative of a tradition. You have to see there are 3 characteristics which you can use to check whether the person can be a genuine teacher. Upanishad itself says, Shrotriya akamahata brahmanishta. So Shrotriya means, Shruti means Upanishads. The one who is a master of an Upanishadic tradition. So in Vedanta, this person must be a master of the tradition. In our tradition, it must be someone who is master of, say, Advaita Vedanta. But expand it further. It could be any genuine lineage, devotional, whatever it is. Does this person represent an ancient but living lineage? Or is he like an independent fly-by-night operator? You could go to the Apple store to get a computer, And there might be somebody, a shifty looking guy standing outside and saying, hey, come to me. I've got a better computer. I can give it to you. Who are you? It's just me. Where did you get this computer? I made it in my garage. But it's better and cheaper than what those guys will give you in that store. And he may be right. But you don't know, do you? You don't know. And then you don't get Apple Care also. Yes. When people ask, when my teacher has passed away, whom do I go to? If the teacher was part of a lineage, you have no problem at all. You go to the other teachers in that lineage. You'll always have a community of practitioners, community of teachers stretching back thousands of years. You'll have teachers, you'll have a vast literature, all of that is there. Then the next thing is Shrotriya. The second thing is Akamahata. Is that person should not have any other motive, ulterior motive. Is that person making money off me? Is that person, is it a cult where a person exercises power over me? These are all huge red flags. I'm not saying that you shouldn't donate. The basket just went around. But it's also true, where there's a lot of money and lot of glamour associated. You can't make value judgments like that, but still, it's a red flag. These two things don't go well together. Genuine spirituality and a lot of material power and wealth. I remember seeing a movie, I strongly recommend it. It was one of the genuinely spiritual movies I've seen. Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. Italian film director, Zeffirelli, I think, I'm not, Zeffirelli, on the life of Saint Francis. And then Saint Francis goes to the Vatican, in the presence of the Pope, and all the archbishops and everybody's there. And it's all the wealth and, it's very nicely depicted. The power and the wealth. They have gorgeous dresses and ornaments and everything is gold and silver. A huge palace. And he says, what are you doing? Didn't Jesus teach you that you cannot worship Mammon and God and Mammon together? And then he talks about that. It's a very beautiful scene. But that's the point. So, akamahata. I should not have any other, political, material, sensual, objective. The teacher should be free of these material desires or these worldly desires. Those are red flags. They genuinely don't go well with spirituality. Then the basket will still go around, so that that much is necessary for the ashram. All throughout this, the ashram has to be maintained. Then you have Brahmanishta, the third qualification of the teacher. The Brahmanishta means centered in Brahman. So this person must be a spiritual person. Is it spirituality? Is it a part-time occupation? Is it like a TikTok thing for that person? No. It must be central to that person's life. The one who is a teacher must be centrally a spiritual teacher. That must be the life of that person. Because why we are saying that stipulation is there, you cannot judge whether the person is enlightened or not. It could be very easy to say, my master should be an enlightened master. Only an enlightened person can be a spiritual teacher. But then how are the rest of us to know who is enlightened or not? But we can judge these three things. Is a person a part of a genuine spiritual tradition, which then he or she can hand over to me? Second, is that person free of material desires, as not trying to gain something from me? All that person wants is to transmit spiritual knowledge to me. Third, is that person all about spirituality? Is the person's life, the central theme of the life of that person is spirituality? Enlightened or not, we don't know. But clearly, you can observe. Or is it just a part-time thing? Or is it just like a hobby for that person? It shouldn't be. It should be the life of that person should be centered in Brahmanishta. So these three, if you find, this is a good teacher. Yeah. Until that time, books are there, many teachers are there, classes are there. Nowadays, the internet is available, so many sources. And they also use these criteria to see who could be genuine. Okay. The last person there, take that and stop. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Thank you. Namaskar, Swamiji. My name is Jyotika. I wanted to get your guidance on something practical. In one of the lectures, you mentioned the importance of maintaining sattvic surroundings, including choosing to be with sattvic people for one's spiritual growth. Could you elaborate on how does one reconcile and maintain that discretion while also accepting, the
Yes.
concept of oneness and ātman in
True.
everyone?
Remember, these are practices for spiritual seekers. It is true, there's one divinity everywhere. But one has to be careful there. One divinity everywhere, but I am not enlightened yet. I am not a Brahmagyani yet. So until I achieve my goal of becoming enlightened, overcoming my ignorance, overcoming my defects, manifesting the divinity which I am trying to realize, until that point I have to be careful. So it is true that God is everywhere, divinity is everywhere, it is true. That's what Vedanta teaches. But Sri Ramakrishna said you have to be careful of the tiger Narayana. Narayana is God. So everywhere there is Narayana, but you can't embrace the tiger Narayana, because then the tiger Narayana will embrace you, and that's it. That's the end of your spiritual quest. So you have to be, and then apply that principle everywhere. Now, it is good to go to ashrams, be part of a spiritual community. It's good to read holy books, make an ashram-like environment in your home. If nothing else, at least a shrine, a room, if not a room, a corner of a room. Make it and use it only for meditation, japa and spiritual reading and nothing else. Not your work from home. So only for that. So that when you go there, there will be those vibrations. Go to an ashram. If you cannot, make your home an ashram. Make your room an ashram. Have holy company. If you cannot, if you don't get much a chance for that, use books, the lives of saints. In every religion, in Hinduism and in all other religions. That's holy company too. When you dwell, keep it in your mind. Dwell in the mind. So, just because you're in an ashram does not mean that you will always have holy company. Remember, the people who are, once person said in the monastery, you know who's here in the monastery? Who, Swami? There's a huge gate of the monastery. So, there, outside the gate, those who are there, they have come into this. They are also inside the gate. Whatever society is there, you will get a reflection. Yes, in a monastery, you will get generally a better selection of people because they have a common purpose. And generally, a good people, and they have a spiritual. But that doesn't mean that they are all saints. Not at all. We have come here. We say in our monastery, we have come to become sadhus. Not that we are sadhus. We have come to become sadhus. We are trying to become sadhus. That's all. As long as you try, it's well and good. So, holy company. Swami Ashokanandaji said that in a reply to a letter from somebody, some lady had written a reply, and we had written a letter. We don't have that letter, but we have the reply written by Swami Ashokananda. This is in 1950s in San Francisco. He writes, "Dear Madam, I am happy to know that you want holy company, but the real question is, do the holy want your company?" So sometimes it might be difficult to get holy company. They might be reticent. They might be not easily available. So one must generate. Belonging, nowadays they have seen many people across the world in different places. I am hearing about these virtual groups which started during COVID. We gathered together to study, to watch a video, to study a text. Maybe once or twice a week they meet. Maybe 5 people, maybe 10 people. Small groups are even sometimes better than large groups. So this is how you get holy company. About monasteries and holy company, I must tell you this story. It's only tangentially important, but it's a beautiful story again from Saint Francis. One day, in the initial days of the Franciscan order, Saint Francis comes to his brother monks, and he says, it's an important thing. This is holy company you asked, so this is an important teaching. He says to his brother monks, "Yesterday I was weeping before going to bed, thinking about what will happen in future, what will happen to this order which we have started, the Franciscan order, what will happen to it in future. And in my dream, our Lord Jesus Christ came and showed me a statue, an image. the head of which was gold, the chest was silver, the tummy was bronze, and the legs were iron. And I asked, what is the meaning of this, my Lord? And he said, this is the answer to your question. The head of gold are you and your brothers. You are men of contemplation and prayers and tears. You weep and pray for God and live this high, noble life. Then chest of silver, they are your disciples. They will not be given to so much contemplation and prayer, but they will be men of high character and high intellect. They will write so many books and wonderful theological books and all that. And people will admire them for their intellect and everything. They're great people. But not so much given to meditation, prayer and all that. Then third, the stomach of bronze. They are not given to much prayer. They are not given to much intellectual activity, writing books, but they will be men of action. They will spread your order across the world. They will build many cathedrals and churches. People will remember you and they will support you. Support these people. They will support and let them work. Give them money and help. Then legs of iron. They are the disciples of that generation, next generation, who will be given to quarreling and jealousy and degradation, and men will despise them and shun them. So, St. Francis was weeping. And the Lord said, why do you weep? This is the way of the world. This is how everything will go. Then, this is the important, this is the lesson of the whole thing, the takeaway. St. Francis says, I do not weep for that, my Lord. What I am weeping for is the few sincere souls in every generation. What will happen to them? And the answer of Jesus Christ I'll share with you. He says, they will have to take care of themselves. You take care of your own spiritual life. All the materials are there. You have to cook and eat. Sometimes things are well, sometimes things are not so good. But materials are there. And if you genuinely want spiritual progress, don't blame the surroundings. Don't blame the others. And they are not fully enlightened. That's why I am not enlightened. No. Yeah. If they are fully enlightened, we have heard from the disciples of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. They are wonderful to read about in books. Could you have stayed with them? You wouldn't have lasted one day. Very difficult to live with. Very demanding people. Saints. All right. I've done the peace chant. Yes.